All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to IT Live. We are just having a bit of an issue with our first streaming link. So I'm just throwing that in the chat of the old stream. And hopefully we can kind of get some people over here. But if you are joining us from on this link, welcome. We apologize for a little bit of the technical difficulties. I guess that's the year we've been in, huh? Awesome. That's kind of the year we've been in, huh? But if you are joining us, welcome. Definitely feel free to put your name or your where you're coming from in the country in the chat. We want to know where people are coming from. Welcome. What we're going to be doing today, if you haven't been to one of our IT Live episodes before, we're trying to give you free content. And we have been doing this a little bit prior to the Christmas break. So if you haven't seen our IT Live episodes, definitely check them out. But we wanted to give a special episode today to show you a little bit of what we've been working on. We haven't done a IT Live episode in a while because we've been working on a really, really special product that we just released last couple of weeks. And we wanted to show you all that today, okay? That product is called the Screen Reader Curriculum. Now, if you're coming to us from our email list, you might have seen a little bit about the Screen Reader Curriculum, but I wanted to take the time today to show you really what is involved in the Screen Reader Curriculum, why it works, what's the methodology behind it, and give you guys a chance to ask questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to be monitoring this, the chat throughout. So please let me know if you have any questions, any comments, any concerns about the Screen Reader Curriculum. And yeah, for sure. Let's get started. If you are just joining us now, I see 3 people watching now. If you're just joining us, feel free to put where you're from in the chat. We want to kind of know where people are coming from and also what your role. Are you a TVI? Are you an O&M? Are you a parent of a child with a visual impairment? So we can kind of tailor our instruction or I can kind of tailor what I'm saying to you guys. Okay, so definitely throw that in the chat. And for those of you who are in the other stream, I apologize. That stream link for some reason wasn't working. So we just had to do a really quick turnaround. So we appreciate you guys still coming out and joining us here. So yeah, if you're watching here, I see 5 people in there. As I start, go ahead and throw, where are you from in the country? What is your role? Where are you joining us from? Why are you joining us? Okay. And let's start to talk about the Screen Reader Curriculum, okay? If you're not familiar with IT, the first thing that I want to show you about the Screen Reader Curriculum is kind of our website and how to get into it, okay? So I'm going to share my screen here, and here I am on the IT website. Our website is itvision.com. All right. And there's a little video, I'm not going to show it here, but there's a little video that kind of shows you what the curriculum is. But what we are going to do is we're going to click on this orange button, the Screen Reader Curriculum. Now, these are our current products that we have out. A lot of people have taken our mini course, our Introduction to Screen Reader Instruction course. If you haven't yet, absolutely take that course if you're an instructor. But the really exciting part, the reason that we're here today is I want to show you guys the Instructor Edition and the Student Edition of the Screen Reader Curriculum. Let's get into the Student Edition. Now, if you're one of our customers that took our basic internet navigation course in October, this content will be very, very familiar for you. This is the course curriculum. And as you go through it, as you can see, it's really, really an easy way to go through. But the reason why this is really, really exciting is because for screen readers, right, we are always being thrown commands at, right, our students. So we're teaching our students JAWS or NVDA or Chromebox. Our lessons usually are just, hey, let's learn this skill. Here are the key commands. And then we move on to another skill and we give the key commands. And that's really boring, number one, and it's really confusing. It requires our students to memorize a lot of key commands. And in this course, in this curriculum, for the students, what we're doing is we're breaking it down into 3 different methods. Of course, we're starting with some prerequisite skills so that we can get them up to speed, okay? We're doing some vocabulary so that we can kind of use the same language. And then we're using 3 different methods to show what you can do on the internet. What we say is that we can show you 99%. We can show you how to navigate 99% of the accessible content on the internet by using just these 3 methods. Method 1 is navigating by clickable object. A lot of people call this tab and shift tab, right? Method 2 is quick keys. All right. That's when you press H for heading, or B for button, or for links, it's going to be U and V if you're using JAWS. And then method 3 is elements list. That's that dialog box of all the links. Okay. Now, the great thing about this curriculum is that it starts in a very logical way, right? Every time that we introduce a new method, we're showing you exactly what does that method do, okay? Then we're going to talk about the vocabulary in a vocabulary review quiz. And then finally, we're going to give you the key commands. Why do we do that? Why do we do it in this way? Well, because the way that we usually teach screen reader instruction is we throw a bunch of key commands, right? And just like our students' backpacks, those key commands get cluttered and crumpled and messed up in their mind, right? Because they're not organized, right? We want to make an organization system. This way, when we talk about, okay, navigating by clickable object, what is it? Why do we do it? All right. What we're doing is we're making like a little file cabinet in our students' minds, and we're saying, this is clickable objects. This is navigating by clickable objects. Then when we get to key commands, we can say, okay, to navigate by clickable objects, you press tab, right? To navigate through those clickable objects, you press tab. Now, the reason that that's a real big departure from what we usually do. We say, okay, tab and shift, you're going to tab over there, right? You're going to shift tab over there, right? Instead, we are showing, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? And then we're giving you the key commands. The other great thing about this curriculum is you can see that in all of our materials about this, you'll see that it's JAWS, NVDA, and Chromevox. And that's exactly what we're doing, is we're showing you what is clickable objects. Why is it, right? Vocabulary, right? And then key commands, we're showing you the JAWS and NVDA key commands and the Chromevox key commands. So that means that if you're learning JAWS, if you're learning Chromevox, or if you're learning NVDA, you can use this curriculum to teach your students. Doesn't matter which one you're using. All you do is when you get to the key commands module, you just show, the NVDA video, or you show the Chromevox video, okay? I'm going to show you just a little bit. I'm going to play one video just to kind of show you where we start, okay? Where are we starting on the internet? To show you kind of how this works. I'm going to show you method 1. What does method 1 do? All right. And please let me know if you cannot hear the audio in that chat box.
Video title. What does method 1 do?
So let's begin with our first method of internet navigation. Method 1 is navigating by clickable objects. Now, we already know what clickable objects are, but just in case you forgot, clickable objects are any element on the internet that when clicked or selected with enter will cause something to happen. Now, in this method, we are skipping through that list of elements on our webpage by clickable object. That means we are going to skip everything that is not a clickable object. So, all those text elements we will not see. So given all of that, what specific element type are we likely to see using this method? Well, we're going to see links, we're going to see buttons, and we're going to see edit fields. We will not see elements that are only headings, and we will not see elements that are only text or graphics, because these elements are not clickable. All right. And so as you can see in that video, we are taking a totally different approach, right? Obviously, you have not taken those vocabulary modules. So you might be, what are you talking about? Clickable objects versus text elements, right? But you can kind of see that in that video, in that really short video, we're introducing method 1 without talking about key commands at all, right? And that's the point of this curriculum. That's the point of this methodology, is we're teaching students the concepts behind screen readers to make that file cabinet in their minds. And then once we review the what and the why, once we review the vocabulary, then we can come down to key commands and say, all right, open up that drawer, slip that key command in there, close the drawer, right? And that is a way that we can, instead of throwing lists of key commands at our students, we can start to organize that file cabinet for them and really do some real teaching, okay? The other thing that I wanted to show you in the student edition is, of course, our patterns module. If you have taken our our Introduction to Screen Reader Instruction course, you know these four components: what and why before how, vocabulary, key commands last, and then patterns, right? Why is patterns so, why, or I guess, what am I talking about when I talk about patterns? I'm talking about using different patterns in the screen reader technology, in the screen reader programming, to start to predict key commands. Okay, I'm going to show you one video here, but I just wanted to say nice to see you guys. For those of you who put in the chat, Lauren from New York, awesome. TBI from Canada, awesome. From Pennsylvania, great to see you guys. As we go through this, please feel free to put some comments, questions, any questions that you have in the chat box here. Okay. But yeah, let me show you one of these patterns videos. So once we've talked about method one, what does it do? Why is it important? We talk about the vocabulary. We talk about the key commands, right? Which in method one, it's tab, right? Now we're going to talk about the patterns, and I'm going to play this patterns video for you here.
Video title: Exploring New Patterns, Adding Shift.
Now comes the fun part. The true difference between people who can use a screen reader and people who can use a computer is their ability to understand patterns. If you understand the patterns that we will be going over in this module, you will be building a solid foundation to guess the key command when you are in an unfamiliar situation. So this is brand new instruction. So we're going to introduce some patterns that we will use in later modules. The first pattern we want to introduce is the use of the Shift key when we use Shift Tab to go to the previous clickable object. As we are going to see in future modules, anytime we navigate backwards on the internet, we always add Shift to the key command. What does this mean? Well, in this case, we are moving forward using Tab. So in order to move backward, we add the modifier Shift to Tab. The adding of Shift will come back in the next module as we learn about method 2.
So what we're doing here, or what I'm doing here in this video, is we're setting up the pattern of Shift plus Tab, right? Adding Shift to go backwards on the internet. And then when we come down here to method 2, if you know anything about method 2, you know that if you add Shift to H to go to, you go to the previous heading. So we're starting to build those patterns so that hopefully we can say, oh, how do you go backwards by edit field? And the student, we haven't taught that key command at all, but the student should say, okay, edit field is E, right? Add Shift to go backwards, Shift plus E, right? So we're starting to build those patterns, okay? Now, if you've taken this course, if you've taken basic internet navigation, this is all really familiar information for you. What I want to show you to you guys today, which is really exciting, is our new Instructor Edition. All right, so I'm going to come back to the main course page. Whoop, I'm going into my admin portal. Here, let me start from the beginning. I'm going to go back to my main course page, okay? Now, the student edition, we have this little green triangle up here. That's what I was just in. I'm going to go into the Instructor Edition. Now, the Instructor Edition is really, really exciting because for those of you TVIs that are watching, this is the way, not only giving you the way to teach the way to use screen readers to use with your students, but also giving you really valuable information as to how to teach them. All right. The first thing that I want to show you is that in each module, we have the exact same student materials underneath. It says student, right? But we also have instructor materials. So there are 20 extra videos that go over how to teach screen readers. Now you might be wondering, what do those modules include, right? And those modules, those videos will include so many pieces of information, but I do want to show you this one part. Now in your assessment, because we want to make sure that there's some professional development in here as well. You will be filling out a lesson plan template. Let me get to that lesson plan template here. I think it is in getting started. Lesson structure. So you'll be filling out a lesson plan template. So the student is going to be learning how to use a screen reader. You will be learning how to fill out this lesson plan template. Of course, we know what an instructional objective is, right? A do now activity, you're going to learn what a do now activity is and why you should include that in your screen reader lessons. We have our instruction. And of course, if you've taken our intro course, you got that what and why before how, the vocab, key commands, and patterns, right? And then we are providing you practice activities that you can use with your learners, which is really, really exciting. I'll get to those in a second. And then, of course, we're going to talk about how to create a really good assessment activity. So as you go through this curriculum, you're not only learning alongside your student how to use a screen reader using our 3 methods, but you're using this lesson plan template to really figure out what components of a lesson you want to use in your lesson plans. Okay, so that's kind of the goal of the Instructor Edition. Now, what are some things that we include to support that? Well, the first thing I want to show you is the assessments. Now, this edition includes 4 different self-calculating data sheets. This one is our first one. It's called Skill Success. And if you've taken our intro course, you know a lot about the screen reader skills progression. Now, this screen reader skills progression is an entire, let me get into the right one, is an entire scope and sequence of what you should be teaching a screen reader user, okay? Or some objectives. These are each instructional objectives as from the beginning of screen reader instruction all the way to an advanced screen reader user. Now, we've modified this screen reader progression for spring 2021. So there's more objectives in that screen reader progression. So definitely go and download that again. But the skill success data sheet is really, really awesome because on the left side here, we have our entire screen reader skills progression all the way from turn on your screen reader. You can see that standard number 1.1 all the way to using OCR technology to read inaccessible documents. It's a really, really wide progression, right? In this curriculum, we're going to be right in here, okay? Now, does that mean that for students that cannot turn on a screen reader, this curriculum is not appropriate? No, because guess what? We've included some prerequisite skills. So in that prerequisite skills module, we're really taking the student from here all the way to here. It's a little bit of a crash course, but it'll still work, okay? But really our instruction is how do we use the internet, right around in here. Now this data sheet, can be used in a really, really cool way. And I remember how I said it's self-calculating, right? So what do I mean by self-calculating? That means that if I put in, right, let's say I do this assessment, okay, which means I'm assessing my student today, all right? And I'm filling in some data. Okay, did they turn on their screen reader? Oh, I'll give them a 3 for that one. That's not a 3. I'll give them a 3 for that one, right? Okay, did they use modifier keys appropriately? I'm gonna have to zoom in here. I apologize. Are they gonna use modifier keys? Yeah, they did that well too. And I start to fill in this data. Let's say I have a couple of data points, right? So let me add a couple of dates. What happens is it self-calculates, which means down here at the bottom, we have some filling these charts that fill in and graph our data for us. So awesome, okay? Not only that, but if you scroll down to the bottom, this starts to fill in and give you some really useful information, such as what is the average score that they've gotten on that objective? And also what's the highest score and when did they get that highest score? It's really important information as we're starting to make decisions about our learners' success, okay? And it's a really great tool to assess your learner to really understand where they are in their screen reader journey, all right? And also what to teach next. Yes, I do. That's fine. I want to make sure that this is clear for everybody that's using it. All right, so that's our self-calculating data sheets. If any of you have any questions on those self-calculating data sheets, put them in the chat and we can get those answered, okay? So I wanted to show you that, so that's really cool. The other thing that I wanted to show you is our practice activities. Oh, of course, I didn't mention at all, your student and you will have a pre-test and a post-test. Now, if you buy a student edition and then you buy yourself a teacher edition, what you can do is in the student edition, you can link your student account to yours so that anytime that your student completes the pre-test, completes the post-test, completes a quiz, you'll get an email with a score report on with their data in it. So really what we're doing is with these self-calculating data sheets and the linked pre-test, post-test, and quizzes, we're making your data collection super easy. Some of it we're doing for you with these pre-tests and post-tests and quizzes. And others, we are giving you the tools so that you can really present some really great data for some decision making, okay? Now, what I want to show you is some of these practice activities that we're really, really excited about. These practice activities go along with some of our mock websites, okay? Now, these mock websites are websites that we have had coded for us, all right, by a software engineer. And these are websites that the buttons don't work, the links don't work. It's all fake information. It's all safe for your student. It's really just a great way to practice skills on the internet without being on the internet, if that makes sense. So it's not like you have to go and find a website. You don't have to worry about your student getting lost. Anytime that they click on something that they're not supposed to click on, boom, it takes them to the top of the same website. So they don't work, okay? Now we've included these because they go along with some of our practice activities. Now, so we have a ton of practice activities in this in this curriculum. Some of them being practice problems where it spells out activities that your learner can do independently. And some of them are like games and activities that you can do with your learner. So I'm going to show you one of those now. It starts in method 1 in module D. And this is going to be called, we call it Navigation Candyland. There is a whole video. On Navigation Candyland. Actually, there's 3 videos on Navigation Candyland. But what this is, and a whole document of rules. So this is a game that we have created from scratch. Now, what this is what you do is you take this mock website, right? And we have provided you a spinner with some instructions on it. So I'll show you that spinner now, all right? So this is the created spinner. What you're gonna do is go to your mock website. Your student is gonna start at the top. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take turns spinning this wheel. So let's see what I get here. Such a great sound, the spinner, I know. All right, let's see what we get. All right, so I'm going to go back 1 clickable object. So that means if you're starting at the beginning, then that means you're still at the beginning, right? So then you would go, right? Let's do 1 more spin. What else do we got? So now me as the teacher, I'm going to go. What am I going to get here? Forward 1 clickable object. So that means, and notice how we're using a non-specific key command, non-key command language, right? So your learner then is playing this game, right? To try to get to the magical you win link at the bottom, right? They're playing this game, they're trying to win, but they're also trying to connect, helping them to connect that tab key with the clickable object key. The great thing about Navigation Candyland and all of our practice activities is we continue to play them as the curriculum goes on. So in E, when we start to talk about quick keys, now our Navigation Candyland spinner, oops, I clicked the wrong link. Now our Navigation Candyland spinner, look, it's a lot different. Now we're not only moving by clickable object, but we're moving by quick keys, right? We're moving by graphics, we're moving by links, by edit fields, by headings. And so now we can start to build out that knowledge and elaborate on that knowledge that your student is building in the curriculum while also having fun. So we want to make sure that not all screen reader lessons are boring, right? Some of them are boring, I get it, they have to be, but we don't want all of our screen reader lessons to be boring, okay? And of course, we have another mock website here, all right? So that's pretty cool. The other thing that I want to show you, all right, the last thing that I want to show you before we kind of get into logistics is I want to show you a little bit about our navigation sequences. Now, this is kind of, and this is in module G, so it's all the way at the end. So your learner has learned about their vocabulary. They've learned about what and why for each of the 3 methods, right? And then we're going to say, what do we do next? Learning to use your new skills. I'm going to show you this video. This is the last video I'm going to show you just to kind of get where you're going, all right, with the screen. So a lot of people say, okay, great, 3 methods. We got the foundations, but what's next? And I'm going to show you how powerful this is with our navigation sequences. All right, here we go. Oh, you know what? I am on the wrong video. I just realized that. I think it's in the next one. There we go. I know it's an instructor resource. The nice thing is that we've color coded them. So the student resources are all white and blue. The instructor resources are all black and white. All right.
Main landmark
So
class.
let me see.
Video title: Teaching a Navigation Sequence.
Now that we have filled in your learner's toolbox with all of the methods of navigation, how do we use them to teach what they really need to learn? Well, that's where navigation sequences come in. A navigation sequence is a set of steps that you can use to access a website or a program. Think of a navigation sequence like a recipe. Our methods of internet navigation are like the ingredients, and now we can use those ingredients in a sequence to make something really delicious. Now, we'll be going over navigation sequences in other courses, so here we'll be just skimming the surface, but we'll be showing you here what a completed navigation sequence might look like. In this case, we'll be using our methods of navigation to get to an assignment in Google Classroom. As I complete each step, I'll be sure to mention the method of navigation that I'm using. Let's get started. So I'll start in a Chrome tab. I'll use method 1 to get to the Google Apps button.
New tab. Frame banner landmark link Gmail link images link. Clickable Google Apps button collapsed. Clickable list with 13 items account draggable link.
Now I'll use method 1 to find the classroom link.
My business drag Gmail.
All right, so we're going to stop her right there just because this video is a little long, but you can kind of get the idea of where we're going with this. The benefit of making our 3 methods of navigation and really making that common language with our students, method 1, method 2, method 3, right? Clickable object, quick keys, elements list, is now we can take any app on the internet, right? So a lot of people say, oh, how do you access Schoology? How do you access Canvas? How do you access Google Classroom? How do you access YouTube? You can take any app on the internet and start building navigation sequences, right? Step 1, we're going to use method 1 to go here. Step 2, we're going to use method 3 to go there. For any app on the internet, you can do that. And that's why we say we can make 99% of the websites and the content, accessible content on the internet, accessible with just 3 methods. And this is how we're going to do this. Now, of course, this course is just foundational. So our goal here is to learn the 3 methods, to know the key commands associated with them, to start to put those key command files in the correct filing cabinet drawer. But in future courses, we're going to be navigating and we're going to looking at these things, navigation sequences, and how to really build out the knowledge that you've taught your learner here. All right. Of course, we have our post test at the end, and for professional development credit, if you're in the Instructor Edition, you can also complete that post test. If you get a score of 90% or higher, then you can move on, submit. Only have to submit 1 lesson plan, right? So you take this lesson plan template and just fill it in with some creative ideas of your own. Once you do that, we're gonna send back a pass or a fail score. You can submit it as many times as you want, and you get some professional development credit from us for that. So if you do have any questions about the course, about the curriculum, put it in the chat box now, and I can start to answer that. But I did want to show you kind of how to answer the questions of how do you get your hands on this curriculum. Now, I'm going to just come back to our homepage here. I'm going to show you. I want to make sure. So if you're not enrolled in the curriculum, that's what I'm going to simulate right now. So if you're not enrolled in the curriculum, what you're going to do is you're going to get to this page. And if you say you want to click, if you want to access the student edition, you're going to click on that student edition course curriculum. And then you'll get to this page. Okay, so it gives you a little bit of information about it. These are the objectives that we will be covering in the curriculum. These are the things that you'll receive, some testimonials, some of the curriculum, and then of course you can purchase. Now, there's 2 ways to purchase this curriculum. Of course, if you're on the internet, logged into an account, ready to purchase the curriculum for that account, you can just buy it with a card. All right, you just click buy now and just purchase. That student edition is $99. So we made it under $100 for you all. All right, so of course you can buy it with a card, but you have to make sure that you are logged in under that account. So if I wanted to purchase the student edition for myself, I need to be logged into my account. I cannot purchase the student edition that way with my account for my student. Okay. Now you might be asking, how do I purchase the student edition for my student? Well, that's where you're going to request an estimate or an invoice. All right. So you're going to click on this. It's just a Google form. All you're going to do is you're going to put in your email address here, and you're going to fill in this information. If you want to do it depends on where you are, what your purchasing situation is. If you request an invoice, you will get a link to pay with a card, and you will get a paper copy invoice. So just because you are doing this method does not mean you can't pay with a card. All right. But you fill in all this information, you will get an invoice or an estimate based on your order. Okay. Of course, you can do student and instructor editions in this form. Okay. Now, let's say you want to purchase the instructor edition. It works the exact same way. All right. So I'm going to go to instructor edition. All right. It works the exact same way. You can buy with a card, right? Or if I exit this, I now have so many tabs open, right? You can, of course, request an estimate or an invoice right here. All right, this orange button. It brings you to the same form, So if you do have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Other than that, that is what I have for you all. If you do not know about IT and IT Live, definitely check out some of our other IT Live videos. We do a lot of free content on from this medium. We've done content on using Desmos with screen readers. We've done organization techniques with screen readers. We've talked a lot about, we did a whole episode on those navigation sequences. And we did a whole episode on assessment as well. We're going to be trying to do this probably every 2 weeks or every month or so with a new topic. And if you do have any questions, if you do have anything that you want to ask that did not get asked in this episode, feel free to email us. That's info@itvision.com. That's INFO, itvision.com. Okay. And of course, if you do have any questions, feel free to send us an email. Other than that, we hope to see you back here for another IT Live episode, I believe in 2 weeks. And have a great night, everyone.